You're listening to the Communications Business Advisor podcast, the podcast for communications professionals in the corporate world who are committed to advancing their work and our field's reputation as critical business advisors that are not only invited to the decision-making table, but are required there. I'm your host, Tara McDonagh.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Communications Business Advisor. This week, we're going to talk about something a little different because I have had too many conversations with women in this field where they tell me that they suck at networking. Does this sound a little bit like you? At least they think that they suck at networking until we talk. And as we connect, as I share what I know, I see the weight lift off their shoulders as we talk. So I wanted to make sure I made this message far and wide for all the women out there and for the men who support them. When I have these conversations with women, their eyes open up. There's gleam in there a little bit more than when we first started talking, because women actually don't suck at networking. We don't. We suck at networking like men. There's a difference. I call it low touch or low tide networking. It's the kind of networking that happens at Chamber of Commerce events or maybe like IABC, PRSA, big awards dinners. You know what I mean. You get it. It's low touch networking where you don't really know the people in the room, but you're expected to, quote unquote, get out there and network because we're all told how important it is to our careers. And it is. Networking is really important in our careers. But what does it even mean to get out there and network? Even those of us who are extroverts can struggle with this one, let alone those of us who are introverted or maybe even a little socially awkward, or those of us who are anxious in crowds. You'd love to ask someone how to network, or you just give up because you think it's just not for you. It's not something you're good at. You might stand in a corner with a glass of coffee or wine or whatever your protective beverage of choice is. You know, that beverage casting a protective barrier on you, making you feel a little bit more like you fit in as you hunt for someone that looks welcoming and might be a valuable person to, quote unquote, network with. Though what you're supposed to gain from that conversation, you can't quite be sure. It's exhausting and tiring, and you often feel like you fail at it. So you tell yourself you suck at networking, right? Because the reality is, a man can go into the same networking event and just meet someone and float through the evening on a cloud like they're in their element. They walk away with a new LinkedIn connection or several, and they know exactly how to leverage those in the future. They don't need to know them in a really strong way in order to make use of that relationship. They could even feel like they could call that guy tomorrow and ask him for a job interview for their son. And that guy on the receiving end would take the call. I mean, I joke here, like I'm being a little hyperbolic, but that does feel like the vibe, doesn't it? Whereas if a woman did something like that, whether you're a woman or a man on the receiving end of that phone call from someone they just met, they'd be like, who are you and why are you calling me? Because the thing is, networking is set up for men, not women, at least how we think of it. Now, I don't have hate for men on this. It works for them, and I don't want to take that away. But what I do want to change is expecting that women can walk into an environment that works for men and expect it to work the same way for women. And then blame women when it doesn't work, or like self-blame, blame yourself, right? Men shaped the workplace. So men set up networking in a way that works for them. And then they invited us in. But it just doesn't work the same. Women network different. And I know this because in addition to having a degree in communication studies and working in this field for 30 years, I also studied gender differences in human communications back in university, and I kept up on the studies related to it. Studies that back me up here on this. When women network in that low touch way, one study shows that it's actually better if they never networked at all. Wow, right? Wow. But when they have a tight-knit, strong group of women that they can trust and rely upon, they do better in their careers than if they didn't have it. Add that to the massive layer that we have in this field where we're in a wildly misunderstood and oversimplified field, and we have a whole new slew of challenge to navigate, right? Women and the unique stuff that we navigate, being told that we need to do things the way that corporate does it, and yet it not working for us, but then also being in this misunderstood and oversimplified field where we try to advocate for it, but if we advocate for it in a specific way, we might not be perceived the way that we need to be perceived in order to grow in our field. It's exhausting. Yeah. This is why I set up Raise the Tide. Because women network different. Because we grow and we learn different. We trust differently. We mentor and seek connection differently. And because to advance in our careers, we don't need more programs changing who we are and telling us we're doing it wrong. AKA pretty much every corporate program out there designed to help women lead. Instead, we need a place to unlock what we're missing and gain clarity and learning and connection in a place that is designed for us. The way that we connect, learn, gain clarity, and grow. That's why I created it. And this is the news part here. That's why I'm growing it. Yeah, I'm growing it. We're going to grow it together. It's going to be big. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that in just a second.
I created Raise the Tide to help elevate our field and the women in it. It's part community, part coaching, part professional development, and part mentorship. It encompasses all of these things because it takes all of these things to rise in your career. I asked a few Raise the Tide crew members to share what their experiences have been like in the program, and here's what they had to say. What's one major impact Raise the Tide has had on you?
It's so important to have community across any part of our lives, and that's one way that Raise the Tide has had a major impact for me.
I'm at a time in my career where I'm looking to grow both from a business advisor and personally. And what I will say is I'm not necessarily getting what I need in terms of coaching and growth internally. And that's where Raise the Tide comes in.
Raise the Tide has given me the confidence to go and advocate for myself and never allow status quo and be always pushing for more and knowing your value and your worth and not being afraid to advocate for that.
If you're interested in this program, head on over to TaraMcDonagh.com and complete the Raise the Tide form. A rising tide raises all ships, but we're not the ships. Together, we're the force of the tide, raising the ships for our entire industry.
Okay, we're back. Now, before we get into more about how I'm growing Raise the Tide, you might not even know what the heck this thing is, so here it goes. If you don't know, Raise the Tide is a program for women in communications, meaning PR, internal comms, executive comms, marketing comms, and related. It's designed using my communications degree, including studies in communications theory, my additional university studies in gender differences in human communication, and my 30 years in this field as a corporate leader in communications. With that knowledge, the Raise the Tide program was designed intentionally to make all the difference for women in this field, to help them grow, learn, connect, and advance. And it works. So many stories of women who have found clarity, connection, gotten promoted, some of them several times in a year, learn new things that they brought to their teams that changed things for them and for their team, doubled budgets, got salary increases of like 30%. Yes, 30%, even in a cost-cutting environment at that company. got new ideal jobs. Yes, several of them, several women, several new jobs. And the list goes on. It's not all hard data stories of jobs and money and budgets, though there's plenty of that, plenty. For many in Raise the Tide, it starts with professional clarity, learning, and being seen in a new way and seeing themselves in a new way. I joke that some join Raise the Tide during an existential crisis where they feel like driving their kid's school bus would be better than staying in this field. By the way, I've been there. I mean, it made me laugh recently when one woman I interviewed in the Path to CCO series shared with me that there was plenty of quiet crying in the bathroom, especially earlier in her career. I mean, talk about those moments. I laughed when she told me that because that was me too. And it was, or is, many of you I know who are listening. But when you're in that moment, and it happens to many of us, it can feel like you're doing it all wrong, and you're the only one who's dealing with this. Or you think to yourself that you can't handle the pressure, or that you're doing it wrong, and you just need to leave this field. But I hope that you hear me when I say that you're not alone in that moment. Please know that so many have been there with you, crying out of frustration or anger, or because we made a mistake, or maybe we don't even know why, but we're there crying it out, feeling like we should just be doing anything else. Now, others join Raise the Tide because they feel stuck and they can't figure out how to unstick the state that they're in their career. Is it the company? Is it their boss? Is it them? You know, they've been promoted or grown to a certain place and they can't seem to crack the code to get to the next level. They're frustrated and angry, and some are full of blame at others or self-blame. They feel like there must be some hidden playbook again, some hidden playbook that they just don't have. And then still others feel joining like they're absolutely thriving in their careers, but they just want to learn from others and feel connected in a place where they can actually ask the questions that they're not quite comfortable asking in other places. Or they can't ask in other places, and that's true because their boss doesn't even know what comms is. They don't know how to do it. And they can't ask their team some of these questions because they're supposed to know the answer, or they don't have a team, or they just want some support, someone to see them, to know that they're not alone in this. If any of this sounds like you might need Raise the Tide. Clarity, community, coaching from me, mentorship, and learning all in one place. And the best news is, like I said before, it's getting bigger without losing what's so special about it. And on this note, I have a confession to make here. Last week, I sent out an email to women that have expressed interest in Raise the Tide at some point over the past few years. I told them I'm guilty. And I am. I'm guilty of doing something that I tell so many women not to do. I kept this program small, smaller than it needed to be, smaller, frankly, than it should be, because I was keeping myself small. I was scared to get bigger or bolder or bring this to more people. And yes, that happens to me too. I told people when they told me that I should make Raise the Tide bigger that it was being small that made it special. But that's only partially true. I was so protective of what I built with Raise the Tide and how successful the women in it are, how truly powerful and beautiful it is, that every time someone said I should build it up, I shut it down. What I wasn't paying attention to is the many women that I wasn't helping because I was so protective of what was built and because I was scared. Over the past few years, I've heard from women in Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Ukraine, England, Brazil. They all wanted a place like Raise the Tide, but because of the time zone differences, I had to turn them away, or I felt like I needed to turn them away. Other women were working at nonprofits and they just didn't have the professional development budget or the salaries themselves to invest in this program. And then there were the fellow women business owners, and increasingly more and more and more of them. Women who left corporate because they couldn't find a place for themselves to continue to grow professionally while maintaining a personal life. So they went off on their own, and return to office mandates perpetuated this even more, especially among mothers. But the Raise the Tide program focuses so much on navigating the internal politics and growing as a leader inside a corporation, as well as comms topics and timely issues, again, related to how to address them from inside an organization, that I just didn't think Raise the Tide would be relevant to the consultant and agency owners who were reaching out. So I just kept punting them along. They wanted Raise the Tide, but I just didn't have the right program for them. But when I was on my business retreat recently, I had an aha moment. I didn't need to change the Raise the Tide program. I could keep what I know works while building a whole Raise the Tide ecosystem around it for everyone else who couldn't currently engage in it, where it didn't make sense for them. This way, Raise the Tide could reach more women and build something great for them, help them grow in their careers, because if we're going to grow this field, we need to grow the women in it, whichever path they choose or wherever they're geographically located. So here's the deets, my friends. Raise the Tide, as I've shared it before, or as some of you know it already, that will continue. That program will continue, but we're renaming it. It's going to be called The Surge by Raise the Tide, because the surge brings you forward in your career with clarity, knowledge, learning, and friendships so quickly and comprehensively that is a surge in your career, a huge push forward, riding that big wave along with a select few others. It still involves monthly online meetings with the crew, coaching and mentorship conversations with me, group chats, professional development, and the wildly popular in-person annual retreat. But we're now adding a few more programs to what is now the broader Raise the Tide ecosystem. First up, for consultants and agency owners specifically, I finally have something for you. We developed the Voyagers by Raise the Tide for you. I spoke with dozens of you to learn what you need and pulled that together with what I know works, and I created the Voyagers. It starts with an in-person retreat this January 14th through the 16th in San Diego. We're going to do the business planning that's hard to get time for. Hard to get time, clarity, and focus on. I'm bringing what I've done for myself in building a very successful business, if I do say so myself, what you have asked for in an experience, and what I know works, to 8 women. That's it, just 8. I've built on the successful Raise the Tide retreat experiences to build something specifically for business planning with women consultants and agency owners. We're going to work on their business, not in their business, over 3 days at an in-person retreat this January. And within 1 day of announcing the Voyagers program to just a small group, 2 women signed up. In 1 day, I sent this out to just a small group of people. So I expect spots will go quick on this one. If you're interested, reach out through the Tara McDonagh Communications website, and the link is going to be in show notes. Do it right away. I'm offering founding member pricing to the first 4 members, which means just 2 more founding member price spots are available, and then 4 more after that until we close. If you're constantly working in your business, serving clients, instead of on your business, or if you're swimming in ideas but not sure what to actually do next, or how to reach out to do sales in a way that doesn't feel gross, or just how to scale, then this might be for you. Now, second up in the new Raise the Tide ecosystem is the Shoreline. The Shoreline is for women that might want to join the Surge, which is the original Raise the Tide program, or are curious about it, but are a little nervous about the investment in time, energy, or money, or they're logistically unable to join the Surge because they're on the other side of the world from me here in the U.S., Eastern U.S. And in that case, there's still something for you. I welcome you to the Shoreline by Raise the Tide. Shoreline members get access to an exclusive online private community where members share insight, ask questions, get some messages and learning tools from me and from each other. They'll get some exclusive video messages and recorded calls with special guests, all designed to help you learn, develop, and connect in a safe and fun environment with women in this field. It's accessible to any woman in the field, regardless of geographic location or stage in their career, at a more entry-level price. We're offering founding member price to the first 40 members for the first 4 months of the program, 40 for 4. Again, reach out on the website for more info about that. And then finally, there's the breakwater. I won't spend much time on that, though, because the breakwater is specifically focused on women who have completed at least 1 year of the surge. Just know that the opportunity to stay connected and raise the tide continues, no matter where you are in your career or what kind of support you need. Okay, so that's the new and evolved Raise the Tide ecosystem. The Shoreline, where confidence builds, clarity grows, and community begins. The Surge, where clarity shapes actions, confidence expands, and a crew fuels your rise. The Breakwater, where leadership deepens, learning continues, and connection endures. And the Voyagers, for consultants and agency owners, where clarity, ambition, and purpose drive your business success. Most of you will probably be interested in either the Shoreline or the Voyagers, and I invite you to reach out, learn more. Again, we're kicking off with a business planning retreat for the Voyagers this January in San Diego, January 14th through the 16th. I'm just starting to share more on this broader ecosystem, getting the word out, and in that spirit, I'd like to ask a favor from you guys. Can you please spread the word? Spread the word for the women in our field. I truly believe in the power of this program. I've seen it work. I truly believe it will make a difference for our field and for the women in it. It's my reputation connected with this program, and it's why I didn't want to do anything to it until I knew it could be set up to make the women in it successful. I believe in it, and I'm ready. Are you? I'd like to welcome in women to the Shoreline, to the Voyagers, and a few that might be open to the Surge. We do have a few spots open, but I need your help to spread the message. A rising tide lifts all boats. Come be part of the tide with me. Spread the word and raise all the boats, all the women in our field. Before I go, if you're curious about what Raise the Tide members say about the program, hang on and listen in. Several of them offered up some messages last year about the power of this program and just how impactful it's been for them. Until next time, keep advising, my friends. Always keep advising.
If you're interested in working with me to advance your work and your team's reputation as critical business advisors, never order takers, check out TaraMcDonagh.com. Thanks for listening to the Communications Business Advisor podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please leave a rating or a review. It helps people find us, and we can't ignite a movement without sharing the message. See you next time, where we'll continue to do the work to elevate our field's reputation and elevate the careers of the people in it. I created Raise the Tide to help elevate our field and the women in it. It's part community, part coaching, part professional development, and part mentorship. It encompasses all of these things because it takes all of these things to rise in your career. I asked a few Raise the Tide crew members to share what their experiences have been like in the program, and here's what they had to say. What would you tell someone who's interested in joining?
Do it. It honestly is probably one of the best things I've ever done for myself in my 20 plus year career.
I have received such benefit from this group. I cannot actually express it.
Invest in yourself. I really started this group because it was time for me to invest in me.
To anyone who's interested in joining Raise the Tide, I'd say the return might even end up being well beyond what you might expect. I walked in hoping for some professional clarity, and I've gotten that, but also stayed for the growth and the support and the connection that has come to mean so much to me.
If you're interested in this program, head on over to taramcdonough.com and complete the Raise the Tide form. A rising tide raises all ships, but we're not the ships. Together, we're the force of the tide, raising the ships for our entire industry.